Bears, blog, boys, you know it all, computer, analytic, geeky nerds. Michael Schneider, Tom Cavanaugh, the Bear, blog, boys, know-it-alls, doing some podcast somewhere. Nobody wants to hear you. Geeks, you pencil-pushing, skinny jean-wearing geeks, you.
Coming to you live from our mom's basement. This is the Bears Blog Boys podcast. I'm your co-host, Tom Cavanaugh, here with my good buddy and other co-host, Michael Snyder. Snyder, we got a little bit delayed. I had some work things come up. We weren't able to record for the people on Tuesday, but we are here to break down all the action because there's been a lot for the Bears, leading up to this Bills game. And then obviously with playing the Dolphins in their first preseason game last week. How have you been doing, buddy? How did you enjoy the first glimpse of Bears football?
Good, brother. I'm glad it was actually on a Sunday. Mostly, as you guys know, I am in the car business. So Saturdays, I'm usually jam-packed. Don't really get to see much. I remember last year, a lot of the games were on Saturdays. But Sunday, I was like hungover after going out for my girlfriend's birthday, and just got to tune in to Bears football. And again, I enjoyed it very much, just seeing ball on. We are officially back, and I'm excited to dive into it, Tomo.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. And you're in luck again because the Bears play on Sunday this week against the Bills. Yep. So you'll be able to catch that game and it's full, with full attention. So yeah, it's working out really well. It also too, Snyder, I don't know if it's just me, but it also gives, I think, more of like a football feeling when it is on Sunday. Like it actually feels like this is NFL Sunday again. So yeah, yep. I'm really looking forward to the next game. And then obviously with last week's game, Steiner, I think the headline of the game, there was a lot more probably riding on it than this, but I think Austin Booker is where you kind of have to start when you're talking about the Bears game last week. Just a total and utmost dominant performance. I think he had like a 93 pass rushing grade, 7 pressures, 3 sacks. I kind of predicted that he was going to have a strong preseason, but even predicting that strong of a preseason, I don't think I saw in the cards in the very first game with how well he played.
Yeah, pass rush win rate of 26 as well. Again, another advanced stat to add to that. I think Austin Booker, I think I said this in the last pod, he ended up being a fan favorite because of Hard Knocks last year, right? You've seen this guy just had a relentless motor, had an awesome attitude, and it's like charisma, in the huddle, play by play. So it's always a guy that you wanted to root for, right? But then when we kind of brought in Dennis Allen, I thought okay, it's kind of like a weird fit. But at the same time, I was like, wait a minute, we need this type of juice on third and longs, someone who could actually attack the pressure. I thought the offseason moves on the defensive line were more so guys who can just kind of collapse the pocket, just big, bulky, 4-3 ends who have versatility to put inside. Dude that just won't get taken for a ride in the run game anymore, or guys that, won't give the quarterback all day to throw. They will, again, collapse the pocket. But I still think we needed someone, and guys who, again, are strong against the run. I think that's what we prioritize in our defensive line. But at the same time, I was kind of concerned, wait a minute, what about these second and longs and these third and longs? We need some juice. We need a guy who can pass rush, who could bend. And, if Austin Booker could be that guy, that changes my whole perception on this defensive line as a whole. That was my biggest concern, is the defensive line. But again, if Austin Booker has developed, if he continues to emerge, that could be a real steal and be just a real good impact that I think we desperately need, that I think a lot of people are actually overlooking.
Yeah, I think having depth at edge is going to be really, really important. It's hard to say what we'll get out of Shamar Turner. I know they see him more of as an interior player, but do they think about moving him on the edge at least a little bit? Because if they don't, it really is a thin position outside of Deo and Montez Sweat. So that third edge rushing position in a defense that really wants to win with rushing 4 is going to be very, very important. Yeah, he absolutely dominated throughout the entirety of the game. I still have a little bit of concerns how that translates into the regular season against better competition. I think when you look back on how he won a lot of those reps, I think the encouraging part is he looked a lot stronger. He looked a lot more powerful. That was kind of like his go-to move. I think that can translate in the regular season. But when he won with a lot of inside moves, and that's fine. That's great. If you can do that, awesome. I just think it's a lot harder to repeat against NFL tackles who are, if they're not going to be threatened by your speed, they're going to close off that inside, and you really have to beat them. To beat them, you really have to get around them. And I don't know if I've seen enough from Austin Booker throughout his entire evaluation from what I've watched to truly know if he can do that yet. But I will say he looked a lot stronger. His hands looked a lot heavier. There was a lot more pop in his hands. He was throwing guys out of the way. And I think that will translate. If he's gotten stronger and he's gotten more powerful, that can be a way he wins. And then pairing that with his kind of just natural feel for pass rushing moves, when to implement, what move. I think he's got a very good judgment of what to do in that situation. But again, I would temper expectations a little bit. I don't think we'll get that same version of the regular season, but in terms of like a depth piece, if he can be even like 80% of that, I think that would be a home run, especially where the Bears got him in the 5th round, right? Like that would be an absolute home run and fill a very key role for this Bears pass rush unit.
Yeah, what do you think about Jim Miller constantly calling him a poor man's Max Crosby? I don't think we're gonna get that out of him.
I can see like the way that they win. They're kind of just relentless. Like I can see somewhat, but again, Max Crosby was like a world-class athlete. I mean, like 90th percentile in almost everything. That's kind of where Austin Booker lacks. He lacks that true explosiveness. So again, like that's always been my biggest concern. And I think like his style in which he wins plays awesome against bad tackles. Like he'll make bad tackles, he'll embarrass them. And I think we saw that kind of on Sunday.
But yeah, definitely a fan favorite because he plays with his head on fire. And I could see why Jim Miller would say that for that reason. But again, he's not Max Crosby. But again, hopefully he can be that depth piece on, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, give us that juice. I think we really need that. Big expectations for him on the next season, like prove it again.
Most definitely. I mean, keep putting performances like that together in the preseason though. Like that's never a bad thing, right? Like you're going to find, and I don't know like what the expectations were for him with this coaching staff, because like his type doesn't necessarily fit a Dennis Allen. I think he can play that way and be impactful as a Dennis Allen edge. But if you just like look at his body type, like this is a guy who's a stand-up rusher. This is not a guy like you want like holding his own against the run and stuff like that. But if he continues to play like this way, how can you keep him off the field? Like you're going to have to rotate him in and giving him snaps. So, I mean, just keep doing what you're doing and you will find playing time. You will find valuable rotational snaps, which we know this defensive line is going to do a lot of. Center, why don't we move into maybe a less optimistic aspect of last week's game? And that was the left tackle competition. Braxton Jones plays the entire first half, or most of the first half, as the left tackle. And then Ozzie Trapilo, I think, mixed in a little bit of the first half, but got like the 3rd quarter, some of the 4th quarter, and then ended up getting pulled in the 4th quarter. It wasn't pretty. Braxton Jones really struggled. I think there's 2 plays specifically that kind of made their rounds on Twitter of him getting beat pretty badly. He just didn't look really comfortable on Sunday, to be honest. He didn't look like he really was trusting his athleticism. So that's concerning. I mean, that was kind of a given how serious his injury was, and he's coming back from that. I can definitely see why he wasn't his old self and he struggled in a preseason game. And then Ozzie, I think, played a little bit better. But again, he was playing against worse competition, and there was still some ugly reps in there. I think something that I didn't really expect from Ozzie is he was leaning forward a lot, getting caught over his skis a lot. I mean, it just wasn't pretty. It wasn't the showcase that would make you feel great about the left tackle spot heading into week 1.
Yeah, I mean, Braxton looked pretty bad. I've seen those clips as well, Tom. I don't think it was an effort thing. I think it was like a processing and like a technique issue, right? Yes. That he just got beat really, really bad, and it made it look so bad that people questioned the effort, but I don't think it was that. Tom, I know he's still battling from an injury. I don't know if he's 100%, but that's been the issue with Braxton Jones, right? Like he's been capped because of I don't think it's because of powers because you see him in the run game, right? Just absolutely, dominate some guys, right? But then you see in the pass protection, like, yeah, that size, that length, that athleticism, it's not going to show if your technique is off, right? Like you are going to get pushed back. Someone is going to beat you off the line every time, just like that. And I think that's been the bigger issue with Braxton Jones. We've just had such a low bar always given him that starting role that, and he's been better than anyone ever expected. So you kind of live with it, right? Now, when the stakes are higher, you see more talent across that offensive line. You see a better coach. So that's why we have to watch Braxton Jones more so now with the magnifying glass and kind of up the bar.
Yeah, and I think that I think you made a great point about the coaching staff center because I think we're seeing that. They gave Theo Benedict first team reps yesterday, and I think they're really like making this an open competition. Like whatever they've been seeing, I think they're making it known it has not been good enough. Which I like that element of this coaching staff. They're not just going to hand guys the job and just roll with the guys that they're comfortable because they've played in the past. Like, no, this is this coaching staff is truly making you earn it. I like that about them, but we're 3 weeks away from the season opener against the Vikings. You would like to have a little more certainty and trust in one of these guys to really take this job. And I don't know who's coming into the door, Snyder, to save them. If none of them are ready, this might just be a position that they kind of have to like game plan around, really focus their game planning and play calling on protecting this position, which is never a good spot to be in. So, and it's something to monitor. But again, this is, it's the first preseason game. Braxton Jones was coming back from a very serious injury. Ozzy Trapilo is only a rookie, but I guess I just didn't expect them to feel that this position is as behind as it is.
Yeah, and I hope I don't want to overreact over one preseason game. I know it's early, but I hope it doesn't get messy to the point where like we're entertaining the thought of like Joe Tooney playing left tackle.
Yeah,
like, I just hope I don't want that to happen at all. I hope at least someone could just hold it down. And again, I trust Ben Johnson to win it. So I don't mean to rant, Tom, or like be negative, but like we know how much Caleb holds the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's like one of these situations. Like if it's bad at the left tackle, and my panic meter, it's getting hot a little bit at the left tackle position. I hope Ben Johnson could just find a way to maybe get creative, like with the screens, the run game, the quick passing to mask it, right? Like I hope he is the coach to do that. Because again, you worry about Caleb in this situation, and yeah, I mean this is one of those things where I'm kind of hitting the panic button a little bit.
For sure. And Ben Johnson's offense, like the style lends itself, like it's mask the offensive line in a lot of ways in pass protection. But when you are in those true drop back situations, you do have to make sure Caleb's upright and he does tend to hold on to the ball, extend plays, and you want to have a blindside protector that you feel at least capable of doing that. And I think that they've been based on the messaging, it sounds like they've been underwhelmed because they're playing Ozzy at both sides. They're giving random guys first team reps. Like for how open of a competition it is, that's great, right? I said that before, it's great, but like it also is like, okay, someone's got to win this job. Someone has to get closer and actually show that they're separating themselves from the rest. And I don't think they're at that point yet. So I think you put it in a very good way, Senator. My panic meter is a lot warmer than I thought, but I'm not full panic yet. Why don't we keep rolling through this? Luther Burden's debut, Snyder. I got a lot of crap on Twitter yesterday. I posted that route he had, that first catch, and it was a good route. I maybe shouldn't have said the phrasing that I did because he ultimately created separation. He turned the DB around. I just think if you watch the entirety of the game and watch how he runs routes, it looks like he's thinking a lot. And that was mainly my point. Like he didn't look like he was running that route at full speed with full snap, full like confidence, honestly, confidence in when to change his direction and really gear down, come back to the quarterback and just have a good comfort level of where he's supposed to be. And that's fair, right? This was his first preseason game as a rookie and a pretty different offense that he was asked, or in a pretty different role, I should say, that he was asked to do in college. That's totally fair. I think just if you watch the game in its entirety, he looks like he's thinking a lot, right? Like, where am I exactly supposed to be? When am I supposed to stop in my route? And then that kind of makes the details of the route, the intensity of the route, suffer because he's thinking. That was kind of mainly my main takeaway from watching him, the all 22s of his performance on Sunday.
Yeah, it's frustrating time that you have to break it down that way because you just like kind of being objective, giving honest feedback. Everyone's gonna like come at your neck. Oh, you're so negative. This, and that. I think I see someone tweet like some people are already calling like Luther Burden a bust. Like who said that, right? Like no one says that. It's everyone just gets really worked up, Tom, about like anything critical. But here's the thing with Luther Burden. We both know like he was super. I don't want to say raw, but really, I guess it is fair to say he is raw as a route runner. We don't know what he is really off the line of scrimmage because he never had a win that way. Right? It was all where he was a slot guy. A lot of stuff schemed to him, a lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage. The thing is, why I think a lot of fans love Luther Burden is because we all know he has the ability, athletic ability to be very special. He can develop as a really good route runner. Like he has the burst, the quickness, the cuts. Like he could do it. Then what he can do. After the catch, making guys miss. He has very strong hands, right? So when you say that about Luther Burden, and he calls a couple catches down and everything, a lot of fans are going to be very excited about that, right? But there's ways to go for him to be a down-to-down wide receiver in this offense to actually even carve out a big role. And he still has a lot of work to do. I mean, it's no secret the starters did not play in this matchup. Those three starters are DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Olamide Zaccheaus. Luther Burden played a lot. I think that's very telling. And again, I want Luther Burden to be a part of this offense, right? But again, he's going to have to crisp up on the routes. The effort's going to be there, and he's going to have to further develop in all areas of his game to see the field. It's a battle for him, right? You got three wide receivers in front of him. He's got the 12 personnel with Cole Kmet and Loveland also in front of him. So we're going to have to see, Tom. But, yeah, he has ways to go.
For sure. And there was a play, I think it was one of the goal line stuffs. Monunga got stuffed at the goal line, and Luther Burden was the motion man, and like he's lined up wrong. And then Bajan has to be like, hey, come in closer. Like, I think you just see a lot of that. And granted, like that is a really hard thing I'm not expecting him to master that so early into his career. That again, that's not a dig. Like that's very normal. But again, I think the expectations right now are extremely high. You heard, I don't know, it was a clip that kind of surfaced all over Twitter. They asked Rome Odunze, someone on the staff said,
oh my God.
Yeah, DJ Moore and Rome Odunze had a baby, it'd be Luther Burden. Like expectations and things like that, I think are just not fair to him because of what he's going to be asked to learn in this offense. He, another thing, he played mainly in the slot center. You said he, the starting three receivers did not play. He was not even a second receiver. Like when they ever went two wide receivers in the first half, Luther Burden was out of the game. So he was playing primarily in the slot as the third receiver. And that slot position is really, really difficult, I think, to learn more so than the other two, because so much of it is about timing and placement on the field because you're around areas with the most defenders, right? Like you have to be more precise than any receiver because you're a lot of areas of the field to where you really need to be on the same page as the quarterback. And this is his first exposure to really learning all of that stuff. So it would be crazy to expect him to just be what fans want him to be, because he can be that. It's just going to take time. And that was mainly my point. And you can kind of see that when watching the tape back. So I think you made a lot of good points, Snyder. But I'm curious to see how his role is going to change throughout the season. Like, is he just going to be like a gadget touch player? And I'm also curious to see, which we'll talk about in our preview, because they used him kind of truly as a slot receiver. Is that all they kind of imagine him for this season, right? Like if Rome Odunze goes down, is he going to be the guy that slots? You know what I mean? Like if they don't see him as an outside receiver. So there's like just a lot of questions, I think, with kind of his development and how they see him. But we got some light shed on that this past Sunday.
Tom, let me ask you, when it comes to the wide receiver position in particular, to Ben Johnson offense, right? A lot of fans are going to be like, hey, play the most talented guy. Luther Burden gives you more juice after the catch than Zacchaeus, like get him involved, like you're probably going to hear a lot of that. But how important is the IQ, the lingo, and just like your instincts, especially blocking, and just the lingo and everything, being lined up right, motioning right, picking up the right guy. How much more important is that in Ben Johnson's offense versus maybe a more simplified offense to where, maybe Burden does get a starting job, more so right away there versus Ben Johnson's offense is more complicated?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that slot role. I mean, I can't speak for. I don't know like the ins and out of Ben Johnson's offense, but just from from watching, like there's a lot of option routes. Like with Amon-Ra St. Brown, like Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown are unstoppable because they're on the exact same page. Like they know exactly where each other's going or wants to go. Where like Amon-Ra St. Brown knows where Jared Goff wants to throw the ball and it has a great understanding of, okay, if the defender is showing this leverage, I'm going to go here. He's going to throw the ball here. Jared Goff sees the same thing. They see it the same way, right?
Yeah.
He's gained that trust to have that optionality, Amon-Ra St. Brown, to where they can make the defense wrong almost on every play whenever they run those option routes. If you're wrong, right, if Luther Burden, and I'm not saying he did this, but like, let's just say Luther Burden or anybody runs the wrong route or chooses the wrong leverage and Jared Goff or Caleb Williams in this scenario throws it to the leverage that it's supposed to be, that ball can be picked off now because not expose your quarterback. You just threw your quarterback under the bus because you got it wrong, right? And that's, again, I think comes back to in that slot receiver role, you're in a very dangerous part of the field where it's a lot of timing. You have to be perfect. You have to know where that ball is going before really you're out of your break. And if you're not playing with that quickness, precision, and timing, it's going to be hard to see the field in this offense because that's such a large part of it. If it is the offense from Detroit.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to see those instincts come and play with the top three receivers. But we just know, like with Burden, like he's more raw there, right? Like, so yeah, I hear what you're saying, Tom. That was a great breakdown.
Center, I would go a step further and be like, he never even had those options in college, right? Like this was a design a touch player.
I got you.
He ran very simplified routes, is what I'm trying to say. So like this is all new stuff for him, and that's why it's totally okay for it to take time.
Yeah, because he's not gonna have, if he's never done it before, he's not gonna have the instincts to do it,
exactly.
Right? And I think that goes to your point. That's why he didn't look as confident running that route, right?
Yes.
So that makes tons of sense, Tom. Again, I'm glad you kind of broke it down for that to kind of let everyone understand. But yeah, that's gonna be what Luther Burden has in front of him that he's gonna have to clean up.
For sure. But like I'm still excited. Like I still think you saw glimpses of why he is such a special talent. And Ben Johnson's even said all this. Like he's working really hard behind the scenes. We know how special of a talent he is. Like it's gotta come all together, like for him to really make his impact. And we knew that coming into this. So I don't think this is anything new. I just think we saw it unfold on Sunday. Center, a player I think that was kind of similar, which I don't know if I had as high expectations as Burden, but I think Ruben Hippolyte had a pretty up and down debut. I think you saw glimpses of why he could actually be really special. You saw the athleticism, like when he was able to shoot through the offensive line and really trigger on gaps. You saw some special plays. I just think that like it was really inconsistent, the processing, the instincts. The encouraging part is I don't think he was playing slow like he did in college, and that was kind of my concern. I was like, okay, he just gets caught like thinking too much. And I think you saw him play faster. It's just he was kind of reacting almost like triggering too quickly, like put himself out of position. Like I think it was like not like good triggering. It was almost just like I'm going to play fast and hard, and it's going to either hurt me or help me. And I think sometimes you saw it pay off, and I think sometimes you saw it get him in trouble, especially in coverage. So I mean, it was a decent debut. I think there's things he needs to work on, but I don't know. I don't really have huge expectations for him in year one.
it was encouraging, right? Like he really hit those gas, and he looked like a
Yes.
bulldozer, dude. Like he was quick with it too, and he was striking. So yeah, I was encouraged. I don't know who's gonna be that third guy. I don't know if it's gonna be him. I don't know if it's gonna be Sewell or the special teams guy with the long last name with the A. I don't know who's gonna be that third guy, but I like the depth behind there, Tom. Sewell, I don't know if he played good, but like he had the aura, like he looked really good.
Yeah, he
I know
made
he made
he
some
made a lot of good plays. I think Sewell played pretty well. And yeah, I
yeah.
mean it's going to be interesting for that third spot for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know how that's gonna shake up, but here not to like look too far into it, but that third spot to me is kind of low key important because I think there's a lot of pressure on Tremaine Edmonds, right? I
Yeah.
don't think they're gonna steal his starting spot, but it comes to a conversation where we know the guaranteed money is coming to an end with Tremaine Edmonds. And freeing up that, what is it, about like 17-20 million dollars off the cap. It could be really important for the Bears moving forward. So I want to see one of those guys when they're given snaps to see what they have, because I think it's a lot more important given the financial implications moving forward.
Most definitely. Yeah, I mean, if they could have an answer for next
Hmm.
season, that would be great. Because I don't. Yeah, Tremaine Evans would really have to turn it around based on his tenure in the Bears so far. And yeah, I mean, I'm just going to continue to look forward to seeing these guys play. These preseason reps are crucial for the guys that aren't going to be starters, especially for Hippolyte, because you just don't expect them to play very much in the regular season, and it's good to get a glimpse of what they can be. Where kind of their stock is trending. And yeah, I think it was a pretty solid debut, but there are definitely things to work on. I know he missed a lot of tackles for Hippolyte. The last rookie I wanted to talk about and discuss, because Loveland, I don't think we saw enough for him to really talk about his game in depth at all. Kyle Monangai. Kyle Monangai's debut, Snyder, I think was positive and negative for weird ways, right? Because being a 7th round pick, no one thought he was going to be this like 1,000-yard rusher every single season. And I'm not saying he looked like that on Sunday, but he played very well as a rusher. I thought he got downhill. He had showed good vision. He broke a couple tackles. He showed that he has a very natural feel from running in between the tackles, and that was encouraging. The strength of his game, though, I always thought coming out of college was pass protection. I thought that was like something he did really well above all the other running backs I saw besides Travion Henderson. He just knew where he was supposed to be. He packed punches when he was, he put guys on their ass in pass protection in college. And that was not the case on Sunday. He really struggled in pass protection. I think that where he was asked to pass protect, on those under center plays, those big play action plays, that was new for him. That was different for him. That wasn't the college version of what he was asked to do. And we saw it kind of unfold, him being late to where he should be, getting put on his ass. So there's some ways for him to grow there, but I'm still hopeful that part of his game could come through. But I don't know, Snyder, what were your takeaways from Monangai's first NFL action?
I can't lie, I liked what I seen. He looked like a strong ass runner, dude. Like, and again, right? It was like you seen between the tackles, he had a natural feel, but he ran strong, right? And then there was times where you thought he was gonna get blown up, and he went through it, right? He moved forward, and he had one other run where he had some nice cuts. He just looks like a natural runner who is just strong as hell. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Jordan Howard action, just seeing that power, instinctive running.
Sorry, I was on mute. I had to answer a call real quick.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no. I thought I thought I saw a lot of the same things. Like Jordan Howard was a very good comparison. I thought he just has that knack for finding the small spaces in between the tackles before they happen. Like he just knows exactly where he should be. He knows the best pathway, and you saw him earn those hard yards. And I think that was something that I had a lot of questions about, okay, who's going to be that guy in this backfield? Because I don't think it's Swift. Roshan, we just have never seen. He's okay at that, but we've never seen like an above average player, or like we've honestly seen low moments for Roshan in those, like outside of a handful of plays. There's just like nothing to really get excited about. Manangai in that limited role, he excited me. I was excited about, okay, this guy can be at least a very solid complement for DeAndre Swift for this season. Do you want the Bears to find more at the running back position? That can do maybe a little bit of everything, kind of like a Gibbs type. Absolutely. Like, I don't think I'm not saying that like Manungai is going to solve the Bears' problems. I'm just saying that it was a good step in the right direction from a rushing standpoint.
I think he's going to have a role, right, for the Bears. I think he's going to be that strong ass runner in between the tackles. I think he's going to see a lot of third and short action, a lot of fourth and short action, a lot of goal line action. I don't know how often we'll maybe see him on first or second downs. Because I don't know if Ben is going to sacrifice the explosiveness, maybe the pass catching ability and explosiveness there with Swift. But I think at the very minimum, Kyle Manungai is going to carve out that just like in the trenches, short yardage back role. But he's going to have to grow in the pass protection, right, to see significant snaps. Again, I know that was his thing in the Big Ten, but again, I wonder if Tom, at the NFL speed, NFL power, is that going to be a problem for him? It wasn't just a technique thing. I don't know. I think that is what we're going to have to see. That's what we're going to have to monitor him when he is on the field, right? Because if he pass blocks like that, Tom, he's not going to have more than, I think, the short yardage role. But again, I'm not saying he can't, but I want to get him the ball because he runs hard as hell and he has good vision. And it looked like, even though like he doesn't have much explosiveness afterwards, he definitely makes at least one guy miss. And not from like a juke move or anything, but just because he's strong as hell.
Yeah, he's a load to bring down. He's hard to get down on the ground fully. I was going to pull up some of his rushing stats, but I think it's just when it comes down to pass protection, it's so different. Like, it's not entirely different of what you're physically being asked to do, but mentally, the looks in the NFL are just so much more complex, right? Like, there's so many more protection rules. There's so many more defensive looks at the line of scrimmage. Like, he like Burden, when he was asked to pass protect, he just didn't look very confident in like what he was supposed to do, which is fair, right? This is, again, first NFL game. Totally understand. But I just think that from what I saw in college, I think that role will grow. And that was one of the first strengths that this staff brought up when talking about him, why they really liked him at college, because of how good he was in pass protection. So yeah, it's going to take some time, I think, for it to come along. Like, it's going to take time for every single rookie running back. This is a different league, right? This is a different league in terms of complexity, what you're being asked to do. But yeah, I think overall an encouraging step, and I feel better about where this backfield is than I did before this preseason game. So that's always a good sign. Senator, I didn't really have anyone else to talk about. I didn't want to talk about Bajent or like any of the quarterback performances. I don't know. Was there anyone else that stuck out to you that you wanted to talk about before we transition to the Bills game?
Not the play, but a decision by the coach that I think Tyreek Stevenson was only really played a couple snaps, or maybe it was only the first drive, whatever it was, I forget. Tyreek Stevenson's been my guy off season. You scroll down Bears Twitter, you talk to a lot of beat guys, or there's a lot of accounts that that write whatever it is, that you will hear that the CP2 competition is wide open, right? Like, they're talking about Nashawn Wright, Frazier, Charles Smith, like. And then you also see that it's like a lot of fans will have you convinced that it's a glaring hole and it's a weakness. I haven't seen it that way, Tom. And I've been adamant about this all offseason, that Tyreek Stevenson has all the talent to be that CB2 and be a damn good one, right? He's physical as hell. He's in a better system. He's always been a willing tackler, playing with his head on fire. Love his length. Love the way he is able to stop and break on the ball. Love the way he, will play through a catch physically. And, he's one of the least penalized guys last year, right? Again, sorry to be on rant mode and talking about Tyreek Stevenson, but I was really happy to see that maybe it's the coaching staff, they're believing in him more, because I want him to really carve out that role. And I think this year you will see him, I want to say break out, but I think you'll see the most consistent and most comfortable that he's ever been.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what we get. And Snyder, it's hard to tell right now just exactly where this competition is, because Jalen Johnson has not practiced. So I don't know if that's Nahshon Wright filling in for Jalen Johnson, and this is Stevenson's job to lose. I think they kind of have talked it up as a competition, but I don't really know. Nahshon Wright really struggled in last game. The numbers for PFF were not great. And Stevenson's were okay. I think we just didn't see enough to really have like a firm evaluation for either. I don't have like crazy expectations for Nahshon Wright, given like he's kind of flamed out wherever he's been. So I do think this is Tyreek Stevenson's job to lose at the end of the day. But like, I was going to talk about this heading into the preseason game and during our preview. Kyler Gordon's hurt. Jalen Johnson hasn't practiced. What's week one going to look like, right? If both those guys can't go, I think that is also kind of where my panic meter is going up a little bit for that position. And we're really going to have have Stevenson turn it up a notch, because if that's the case, he's going to probably be seeing a lot of Justin Jefferson in week one. And he's going to have to really come prepared for that matchup. So I'm really curious to see how this secondary unfolds, given the injuries and how thin this group can look pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's a sneaky concern, Tom. Right now, I'm just crossing my fingers and praying that everyone is healthy by week one.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think Jalen Johnson probably will be back, and they're probably just know they want to keep him, on the sidelines and not risk anything. Where Kyler Gordon, I'm a little bit more concerned about, because he just got injured now, and I don't know if they're certain of when he's going to come back. So hopefully they'll both be ready for week one. But yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting group to talk about. All right, Snyder, why don't we transition to the Bills preview, because Ben Johnson announced yesterday that the starters will play. I don't know how much they're going to play. I think he said about a quarter. So that means we're going to see Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, the whole gang, right? We're going to see all of them. Steiner, what do you think about his decision to play the starters? Are you upset by it? I know some fans feel strongly about it than others.
I am always more so like, I don't care. Like, it's hard to say I don't care, but I never found it necessary, Tom. I think when it comes to preseason football, I don't think it's anything that they're going to run, right? I don't even think it's like the meat and potatoes, really. I don't know, Tom. Like, I don't think that Ben Johnson is going to show his card to what he really wants to run, right? Because then you're putting film out there for other teams to kind of scout against. I just don't think they do that. I think the defenses that they're going against are also like very bland, not what they're really going to be going up against, right? So I'm not going to go off topic. I don't see the point of preseason football, Tom, for those reasons. I like the joint practices. I just wish there was maybe just more, practices, more time to get with that. I truly, again, I don't see the point in the preseason when it comes to the starters. I understand maybe when it comes to guys who are fighting for a position, just to see if they can do the simple stuff well, but I think it's totally overblown in particular to the starters. I mean, I think Dan Campbell with the Lions never played any of the starters in the preseason, was never an issue, right? So again, it's just one of those things, Time, like here, if they don't play the starters and the offense, looks like a little bit lackluster week one, the whole entire media is going to catch it by storm and say, oh, you should have played the preseason games, should have played the preseason games. I don't know, Tom. I just think it's so overblown.
Yeah, I think it's overblown too, especially from that standpoint, Snyder. I don't think it affects how they play in the regular season at all. Like, does it help a little bit? Maybe, but like they don't play enough in the preseason. It's not like they're playing the entire game, every single game, right? To get that amount of reps. Like, I just think that no team is doing that in the NFL right now. Like it's so much more reserved. They take those guys out pretty much immediately. Like the Chiefs played their starters last week. They got one drive, right? Like it's just like that's just kind of the nature. No one wants to get their guys hurt. So
Yeah.
I'll come back and say, do I think that Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, DJ Moore, do I think they need these reps? I do not. I would not play those guys. I think that they're too important to risk that. It's like the reward is not worth the risk of losing one of those guys, especially on the offensive line, right? Where injuries I think are a lot more prevalent. I'd say the same thing with Swift too. Like I wouldn't want to get Swift injured because of a preseason game and he's going to be running the ball. Like I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't play any of like the veterans, but I would play Caleb. I would play Rome. I would play Loveland. I'd play the young guys. I think for Caleb, it is useful to get those reps. And I think that like quarterbacks are protected enough to where I don't fear injury as much. I know injuries can happen to anybody. They're freak things. They're unpredictable. But I do think the reps are very, very useful for Caleb against another team. Even I know he's getting that against the joint practices, but still, like I think it's important that he gets it in a game sense as well. And Senator, I'll say that I really like how Ben Johnson has explained their decisions. It's all about how we can get the most reps for Caleb in this offense and obviously for the defense too. The reason he did not play against the Dolphins was because they felt like he could get more reps the next day if he didn't play. And that's why they just did everything to maximize the amount of reps they could get him. And basically they sound like they've had this entire plan for him, which again, is very refreshing for the Bears coaching staff to have that plan in advance is very, very refreshing to hear. Like they wanted to overload him with information. They wanted to give him as much verbiage as they possibly can to go on and assess, okay, what can he handle? What can he handle? We're going to adjust our week 1 game plan based on everything he can handle and what he can't handle. Again, very, very thought out, very, very thoughtful. And I think we've seen that kind of just with every decision this coaching staff has made. And which is why, again, I really don't mind. I trust Ben Johnson's judgment on what he wants to do with the starters and what reps he thinks is useful versus what reps he doesn't feel as useful.
Don't you love to hear that, Tom? That like, here, they're going to adjust to what Caleb feels comfortable with, right? They're not going to force anything on him. They're not going to force, all this pressure on him, ton of complexity and everything. And they're going to take it week by week. But, those responsibilities, that feel for the game, understanding defenses, calling whatever he needs to call, you're probably going to see that grow, right? But it's not going to be forced all on him week 1, and you trust the coaching staff to adjust, right? You hope the run game is going to help them there. You hope, you have the talented wide receivers, tight ends, to kind of maybe carry that load for him. You're going to have the center calling protection to help make everything easier for Caleb, right? Like you talk about a number 1 overall pick. Everyone wants him to be Superman, right?
Yep.
This is a situation, Tom, that, again, that wasn't our number 1 overall pick, right? We're lucky enough to now we have the number 1 overall talent. Now he's with a competent coaching staff. He's with, on paper, a pretty good roster, right? Not one that, most number 1 picks are accustomed to being, in their first couple of years. So it's a good situation for him, Tom. And, I don't need Caleb to be a hero. I really think that he can have, I'm just talking in stat lines, right? I think he could have that, 3,500 yard, 20 touchdown, 6 interception type of season. And because of the coach, because of the talent, because of the upgrades, that stat line, you could actually win a lot of games with, right? And again, obviously I have higher expectations for him, but I think if he stays efficient, Tom, like he did last year, that's all that his team really needs, right? And obviously, if you unleash something with Caleb and he is that killer and you see, 4,500 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, yeah, that unlocks a totally new dynamic, but I don't need that week 1, right? I would rather him grow into that. So yeah, Tom, again, I feel really good about the process. It's refreshing to hear. And I think, they're at the same kind of place where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the most encouraging parts of this offseason so far. Like they've just had a reason for everything they've done, and it's been sound reasoning. And I think that's really all you can ask for. The results are going to be the results, but the process is what you can control. And they've done a really good job of, I think, bringing this along as smoothly as they possibly can, while understanding that there's going to be challenges and hiccups in the road. And I think that every step they've kind of taken has accounted for that, and which is why I'm really excited about how the week one product is going to look, and how the week or the product this week is going to look with the starters. Like, what do they actually do? Center, one thing I'm so fascinated with, because we saw it from Luther Burden kind of play exclusively in the slot. What is the wide receiver alignment for all of these guys, right? Because I think we know Rome is going to be the X, but is DJ Moore the slot receiver, right? Like, or is he going to be more of the Jameson Williams kind of do it both? I think Jameson Williams was a 60% outside player, 40% in the slot. Is that what we're going to see for DJ Moore? Is Olamide Zaccheaus exclusively in the slot? Where does Luther Burden and Cole Kmet fit into? Like, are they going to be in like a rotation? Or is, I'm not Luther Burden, Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet, are they going to be in a rotation? Is that going to be Colston Loveland's job right away? I'm so curious to see the usage of all these guys, because it's such an interesting group of weapons. And I think we'll finally get some answers in a very limited sample in this preseason game.
Yeah, I think another cool thing, Tom, is like, maybe we don't see this in the preseason, but maybe we do. Like, do we see DJ Moore in the backfield? Then who lines up at wide receiver? Like that's one of the things I'm real interested to see there. Or does do we see 12 personnel and then you have DJ Moore in the backfield as well? Right? It's going to be Rome and Zaccheaus out there. It's going to be interesting to see, Tom. I think there's situations like, do we see Loveland outside? Do we see Cole Kmet outside?
Yeah,
I think we've heard that being entertained. I think you can get real creative with what you could do in the mismatches, especially in the red zone, or in the goal line there. So yeah, Tom, that is, something to look for, because I think there's just endless combinations and endless creativity that you can actually do here.
There really is. And again, I don't know how much we're going to get that in like a quarter of the preseason.
Yeah.
Think of all of I want to see, like, what is DJ Moore primarily going to be? That's what I want to figure out the most, because I think I know what Rome is going to primarily be. Zaccheaus, I mean, I think he'll play the least amount of snaps of the starting wide receivers, so I'm not as curious. DJ Moore is obviously the star receiver, basically viewed as this team's wide receiver one. How does Ben Johnson see him? I think we will get some answers about that, because we got some with Burton. We know kind of how they see him, at least early on. How does that translate with DJ Moore? That's what I'm really looking forward to see him, because I think that will really tell us how they plan to use him. And I think that will just tell us a lot in general. Another thing I want to see, Snyder, who opens as the starting left tackle and tight end? Braxton Jones opened as the starter last week. We knew Colston Loveland was going to play a little bit because he is a rookie, the 10th overall pick. But now that everyone is kind of available to play for the Bears, who is going to be the starting left tackle right now in the competition? Like, who is in the lead? And then who's the starting tight end? Again, two things I really want to see in this preseason game.
Yeah, what if it's Theo Benedict, right? Wouldn't that be crazy? Like, it's not crazy to say. I really am preparing for anything at the left tackle. But again, we need someone to separate there, Tom. And to me, at the tight end thing, Tom, I'm maybe really not looking too much into it, because I think both of them are going to have a significant role one way or the other. I think both are going to technically get starter snaps. I don't think one's going to be really shunned from I'll say the starting lineup, but I think both are going to have a huge role.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know. Maybe this team will be. It's hard to say what this team will be. I think this will be a very like heavy 12 personnel team, but like, is that going to be their primary formation? Like, I'm really curious to see like who plays more, the second tight end or the third receiver. That's something I'm going to be keeping track of. I don't think we're going to get that answer in a preseason game, but like, who does this team want to be? And I'm really curious to find that out. But yeah, I agree. I think both Loveland and Kmet will have very big roles in this offense. I just want to see how quickly, or what do they think of Loveland right away? Like, what can he contribute right away? Because if he's not starting, then I think it's going to take some time like we've talked about with most of these rookies. But it sounds to me, Snyder, the reporting with Loveland has been different. They said that he's picked this up quickly. He's learning the positions, all the positions beyond just his. So I think it's been a little bit different to where I do have a little bit higher expectations for him. So yeah, that's what I'm really curious about. And then it's hard right now to get a feel for like the secondary and what's going on there because of those injuries. The D-line rotation is what I'm really curious about because you have Andrew Billings, who's kind of like eat up space nose tackle, has been a very, very reliable starter for the Bears for the past 2 seasons. You have Gervin Dexter, who we think is on the verge of a breakout. I think he's been banged up. At least he was banged up a couple days ago. I wonder if we'll see any of him. And then you have the veteran that they just brought in, Grady Jarrett. How does that rotation play itself out? And then how does the defensive line rotation play itself out? Austin Booker played like basically the entire game. So to me, that doesn't tell me that he's like the first edge rusher off the bench if he's playing that much into a preseason game. But maybe he's earned that, right? Maybe he is the first guy off the bench. So I really want to see how they rotate this D-line, who they view as starters, how is the split between the rotation. That's one thing I'm looking out from this preseason game.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one, Tom, because do we see Deo inside? And then you have, I know Turner's probably not going to play. He's hurt, but that's another guy. Like, does he have inside out versatility as well? What do you do there, right? Do you kick Grady out? That's going to be real interesting to see because they have a lot of guys with inside outside versatility. I don't know if they find a home particularly on the edge or inside. So yeah, that's going to be something to monitor. Probably won't get the full answer week 1, but that again is something that we're also monitoring this season.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to like have any firm takeaways, but Snyder, it's so funny. Like if you just look at like the depth chart of like the guys who played last week, there's so many Dennis Allen guys. Like Tanning Passanyow is like, and Dominique Robinson, honestly, too. Like those are like the epitome of Dennis Allen edge rushers. Trey Flowers, Nashawn Wright, like epitomize what his corners want to look like. So even though we might not have high expectations for these guys, the coaching staff could have a lot higher, right? Because these are more of their guys. These are more of their fit like types. From some of the other guys, like Terrell Smith was with the 3rd team, which we always thought like this guy could start for teams, but this coaching staff didn't really see him that way. So I think just more of those answers as well will be important. Like the depth guys we've known for the past 2 seasons may not be as high up on the depth chart. Given this is a different coaching staff, they want different things.
Yeah, again, a lot of stuff that we still don't know yet, right? A lot of stuff that we're waiting to get the answers on. Again, wide receiver rotation, D-line rotation, who, is that CB2 or who's the next guy up? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that maybe at this point of the year we would think could be more clear, but we still don't know.
Most definitely. Other than that, Snyder, I'm not really looking that much further into this game. I'm really excited to see Caleb Williams. I think the reporters have said it's been kind of up and down for him in terms of his pre-snap operation. Like I hope all of those things go smoothly in a very controlled environment, which will be this preseason game. But there's nothing too much else I'm looking forward to. I think we're just going to have to take it for what it is and not overreact one way or the other.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that's going to be it for us today, though, guys. So, again, appreciate y'all tuning into the live stream. Hope maybe we'll be back on Sunday, Snyder. Maybe we can come back and recap this game a lot quicker because our schedules during the week are as busy as they are. And we can come back with a quicker turnaround on what we saw in the preseason. But until we meet again, y'all, keep it real. Bear down.
Bear down.